between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope, between fear and hope.
To push these genetically modified seeds on people, this is my theory. So they would pay farmers to not grow food. You know, you see what I'm saying? They do that a lot still, where they'll pay you to not grow stuff. It's a supply and demand type thing. So he became dangerous when he started talking about that, because he was opening a lot of our eyes and our minds to what was going on in the government, and you know, these different grants that were being used to help poor Europeans, and which in turn turned them against us, because this whole concept of white and black wasn't really a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this was that was something else that was modified. I don't want to say genetically modified, but it was governmentally modified, where, you know, they started saying that, oh, you know, all of these, because before, you know, poor white people and black people were in the same situations. Like, you think about the Irish when they came here, you know, Europe sent a lot of their criminals here, and they were living in squalor, you know what I mean? No, you know, mud, like they was living on, you know, shacks on mud, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until, you know, the media started pushing this whole white agenda that they would start saying, oh, white people and black people are different, and trying to strip them of, okay, yeah, you're Irish, but you're white, you know what I'm saying? Or yeah, you're German, but you're white. You're, you know, X, Y, Z, but you're white. And we're, you know what I'm saying? And black people are X. So that separated the poor. That separated the poor, because we was all poor. You know what I'm saying? So they started, you know, giving them land, teaching them how to farm. And that is a big economic tool that built a lot of wealth, that it continues to build wealth in America. So now that these government subsidy programs came to us in the form of housing and food, we've gotten so comfortable that we kind of frown at the idea of being farmers and having land and having the responsibility of you know, caring for that land and caring for animals and all these different things, because we typically don't look at farmers as being wealthy people, but they're very wealthy. They're very, very wealthy. If you look, even if you're driving if you're driving up PA, a lot of us, like if you going upstate to visit your folks and you see all that farmland, man, them people wealthy. Look at what they driving. Look at how their houses are. They got multiple houses built on their land. I mean, just, and I don't want to say, you know, material things don't make you wealthy. I think the land actually make you wealthy. I think your morals actually make you wealthy. But they definitely not hurting for material things either. So, and India had that in their favor, because they actually, you know, one of the best things that you could be in India for a long time was a farmer. They really looked at their farmers as being like how we look at doctors. You know what I'm saying? And in a sense, they are doctors, because, you know, a lot of Eastern medicine revolves around what you eat, your diet. So it's this politician, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but he always talked about, he went to MIT, he says he created email, and he was when he was 13 or something like that, his grandmother used to be able to diagnose people's illnesses by touching their face, and I believe him. And then she would recommend different foods for them to eat in order to, you know, get back centered. You know what I mean? Basically healthy. You know what I mean? Center their chakras and all these different things, like get the energy back together. And he is a PhD from MIT, so he took that knowledge that he had and went back to India to study, you know, how his grandma did these things, and tried to come up with a system so that we could, you know, have that here. I don't know how that, you know, really working out, but he's getting into politics now, and So he talks a lot about that, but we really have to stop overlooking the fact that the government owed us 40 acres and a mule 50, 60 years ago, right? So how much would that land be worth? How much would that 40 acres and a mule be worth if we did the compounded interest of, I don't want to say compounded interest, but if we took and say that, back then it would have been worth 200,000, right? And then after 50, 60 years, maybe it's worth 50 million. You know what I'm saying? It's for each person, it's each family. So, and this people that's actually doing the math, and this is what reparations are about. A lot of people is like looking at it as a handout. Oh, y'all just want a handout. It's not a handout. It is calculated from something that we were owed, that we were guaranteed in the Constitution, that we were denied, and it put us in the position that we are in now that might take another 50, 100 years to get out of. I mean, one of the worst things you can do to a young man is leave him to his vices. You know what I'm saying? That's a threat to society. And when you look at the youth, and there's a lot of research to back that up, but when you look at the youth, and I'm one of the people that always say that a lot of the research that is done is not directly transferable to us and our people, because we're usually, even when we look at, like the experiments that they have done unjustly, we're usually not the benefactors of that research. You know what I'm saying? We might have been the guinea pigs, but we're not the benefactors. Like, nobody is using lab rats to help lab rats. You see what I'm saying? That they're looking at ways to help a certain group. That's very important in science. Is your target. Who's your target? You know what I'm saying? So, and a lot of times they look at humans. We look at non-human primates in order to test drugs and look at these different pathways. But and biologically we are very similar, but when it comes to genetical differences and psychological differences, cultural differences, all of these different things, that type of research is very different. You know what I mean? And so we take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, it's very we have been so the oppression that we have faced has been so detrimental that we are now in a state where we will we're now in a state where I don't even know what I'm trying to say. We're now in a state where it's going to take some very drastic measures to get us back to where we were that 2 generations after slavery. You know what I'm saying? So like the great grandchildren that probably was one of, like, if you look at the statistics, we were doing quite well as far as financially. I don't want to say financially, but we were doing quite well as far as whole families and strong values, unified culture. And I'm just riding past all of these farms now, and that's kind of was what got me thinking about it. And this is one of the more wealthy counties in Maryland, and it's a lot of farmland, and that's intentional. That's very intentional. You know what I mean? You just look at the sheer amount of land that is. This is kind of like the norm out here. You know what I mean? And you see some of this stuff go up for like people selling whole estates, right? And these because people don't want to be bothered with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's such a simple life, and we look at simple life as being kind of detached from the society we want. I see a lot of those, the big camper type buses. I see a lot of those, and you know, it's people that have a lot of land. They buy the big campers, and you know, a lot of them homeschool their children. Not all of them do, but they might take a road trip for 2 or 3 months. You know, get somebody to come take care of their animals, and you know, take a road trip for 2 or 3 months. Drive from here to Canada. You know, stop in different places, or drive from here to South Carolina, or upstate New York, all these different things. And it's just enjoying life. It ain't even about the material things, like somebody on their tractor over there now. It's definitely a lot of work. But that's another thing I wanted to talk about. So it's a lot of work, but when you think about it, like we were all family. So the family structure wasn't just mom, dad, and kids, right? It was grandparents, you know, it was cousins, it was all of those different things. So yeah, it might be hard to do it the way they do it now, where it's just like maybe mom, dad, children, maybe grandparents. You know what I'm saying? For us, you know what I'm saying, we could take, you know, let's say 100 acres, right? You buy 100 acres, build 3 or 4 structures on there, you know, cousins. This is something I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Your cousins, you know, your aunts and them have a house, your parents have a house, you know, your grandparents stay with you, you know, they help out with the kids. You know, y'all, for the first few generations, we might have to, you know, go to work until, you know, but, you know, one of those kids or a couple of those kids are learning how, you know, learning how to farm, or, you know, one of the families, maybe one of the cousins, you know, learning how to farm the land, and, you know, and then maybe not even 3 generations from now, you're a multi-millionaire farmer. I mean, Google it. I'm quite sure that the average farmer is net worth is over like 2.5 million, I want to say. But yeah, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, was getting back to the family structure that we were used to. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, and then Andrew Tate was talking about how in Romania, he was kind of shocked to see young girls walking around, you know, without any men, and the taxi driver basically was telling them like they Romanian. So, you know what I'm saying? Romanians don't hurt Romanians. We need to get back to that point. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they're not the wealthiest people, but he was saying that they one of the most Christian communities. They are country. Sorry, they are 99.9% Christian, and I'm Muslim. But you know, I respect all religions, and that's one of the cornerstones of religion is family. You know what I'm saying? Like we gotta learn how to stick together, and we gotta learn how to look at all of us as an extended family. And one of the things that Ye is talking about is being a united tribe. You know, he's saying that basically we are one of the lost tribes of Moses, basically. Jacob or something like I don't know. The Black Israelites been saying this, right? And I mean, it makes sense. I'm not here to argue about that. It definitely makes sense. I mean, because it's no white. I don't want to say it's no white people. There's no white people in Africa. Egypt is in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to have a slave, it's not going to be a white slave. They're going to drop dead in the sun. So that's just the bottom line. And even more so, just looking at the fact that I don't even want to go into that. I don't even go into that. But yeah, that's what Ye is talking about. That's what that documentary is about, and that Kyrie posted. But yeah, let's let's all get more in tune with the conversation of reparations, and kind of get our politics in line, get our agenda together. That should be the highest priority on our agenda. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta come together and unify. You know what I'm saying? One of the easiest ways to take these cities that are being destroyed by gun violence, one of the easiest ways to fix them is when we come together and get this reparations, is you know what I'm saying, it's just to divide them. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gonna be worried about your ops if they in a different country. If they're in a different, not a different country, if they're in a different state or a different township, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all, like after this reparations, we all do another, you know, big migration, because that was real big back then. You know what I mean? We migrated for better lives, and now we just too comfortable to even think about leaving. Like, a lot of, like, some of my family upset with me for leaving Philly, as if I wanted to raise my son there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't even make sense to raise my son there. Yeah, so reparations, migration, you know what I mean, cut down on this gun violence in places like Philly, Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, you know what I'm saying? Get that, you know what I'm saying, get our, I mean, everybody don't want 40 acres in a mule, but let's get the land, let's get the value, you know what I mean, let's get the subsidies to care for those land, for said land, and let's get back into our what the Hotep say, and I'm not using it derogatory, because I'm with that. What the Hotep say, like, it's something about energy. Let's get back to our God energy. But yeah, let's get grounded. Yeah, let's get grounded. Let's get grounded. Hold up, I'm coming up on this crib. This joint crazy. It's like they got a whole lake attached to their crib. This crib crazy. Lake, canoes. You know what I'm saying? And these my neighbors. I ain't living like that yet, but my plan is get some land, move all my family. Look at this. Get some land, move all my family on that land. That's the answer.
Between fear and hope. Between fear and hope. Between fear and hope. Between fear